Greetings everyone, and welcome to my coin collection. Today's coin is the final of a series of 4 £5 coins released by the United Kingdom in 2020 to celebrate elements of the Tower of London. 4 other similar coins were released in 2019. Links to the videos are in the top right hand corner as well as in the information below. In particular, this coin relates to the Tower's historic role as the infamous prison. Even today, there is a Yeoman Gaoler at the Tower, and at the time this coin was minted, his name was Jim Duncan, and you can find a link to a video interview with him in the same places. Ever since its construction, the Tower of London has been an imposing landmark at the heart of the capital. Even in the 20th century, Rudolf Hess, Hitler's second-in-command, was held at the Tower in 1941. And famous gangsters Ronald and Reginald Kray were among the last prisoners held there in September of 1952 after assaulting a policeman who tried to arrest them while they were AWOL, or absent without leave, from national service. By then, the threat of being sent to the Tower had entered common parlance as the most severe punishment possible. But the fate of the prisoners who were taken beyond its walls could be truly terrifying. On the obverse of the coin, we can see the Jodie Clark portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, whose namesake, Queen Elizabeth I, spent time at the Tower before becoming Queen. The young Princess Elizabeth was imprisoned by her half-sister Mary I, who in the early days of her reign feared that Elizabeth was plotting against her. Elizabeth arrived at the Tower on the 17th of March 1554 and was held in her mother's former apartments. Elizabeth was comfortable but under severe psychological strain. Eventually, lack of evidence meant Elizabeth was released into house arrest on the 19th of May, the anniversary of her mother Anne Boleyn's execution. In January 1559, Elizabeth returned to the Tower under happier circumstances, to prepare for her coronation procession. Other prisoners of noble birth fared less well, however. Among the 7 prisoners executed on Tower Green were 3 Queens of England, the aforementioned Anne Boleyn, second wife of Henry VIII, Catherine Howard, Henry's 5th wife, and Lady Jane Grey. Prior to this, in 1483, 12-year-old Edward V and his younger brother, Richard, were sent to the Tower for safety by their uncle Richard, Duke of Gloucester. They vanished without trace and the Duke became Richard III. In 1674, 2 small skeletons were discovered by workmen at the Tower. Assuming that these were the 2 princes, Charles II had them reburied in Westminster Abbey. A re-examination in 1933 confirmed that the skeletons belonged to boys of approximately 10 and 12 years old, the same age as the princes when they disappeared. Torture was used in the Tower prison, with the rack and the scavenger's daughter among the most famous and feared devices. It is possible that the excruciating pain these inflicted could draw a confession from even an innocent prisoner. The only woman reputedly tortured at the Tower during the 16th century was Anne Askew. 25-year-old Anne was accused of being a Protestant heretic. When Anne refused to name others who shared her faith, she was racked repeatedly. She was carried, as she was unable to walk after torture, to be burnt at the stake. It was those found guilty of treason who endured the worst suffering, including the notorious Guy Fawkes. Fawkes was interrogated in November 1605 after his failed attempt to blow up Parliament. He was later hung, drawn and quartered alongside his accomplices. Even those lucky enough to escape execution or physical torture didn't go unscathed. Being found guilty or innocent was rarely a quick process. It is known that some of the prisoners in the Beauchamp Tower were held in confined quarters for what could be months or even years. There was little to do, and this placed the captives under immense psychological strain, leading to depression and acute boredom. In a bid to fill their time and express their beliefs, prisoners would carve graffiti into the walls of the Tower, where much of it remains to this day. One such prisoner was Thomas Marr, held at the Tower but never charged. His etched words, "My liberty denied," have inspired the design that features on the reverse of this coin. These words are laid over a Norman arched window, the design concept which unified all 4 coins in the 2020 collection. The Tower of London mint mark is amongst the stones at the bottom right of the window, while the designer's initials are slightly above and further to the right. I hope you've enjoyed looking at all these coins with me. The Tower of London has had an amazing history, and it's been fascinating to look at the various roles that it has played in British life throughout the centuries. Perhaps you would like this video and leave a comment down below. You might also consider subscribing to my channel to ensure that you do not miss any of the upcoming videos from my collection.